The lobby of the Horizon Grand was all glass and marble, a cathedral of money and manners. Morning light poured in like judgment, painting the floors gold. Guests floated past with luggage that cost more than rent. Behind the front desk, Gregory Vance, general manager, smiled the way people do when they're paid to pretend. Then the doors opened, and Aisha Carter walked in. Black, composed, no jewelry, no entourage, just a red blouse and a presence that made silence rearrange itself. She carried herself like someone who belonged everywhere. That alone unsettled Gregory. "Good morning," she said, voice calm. He didn't look up from his screen. "Deliveries go through the side entrance." "I'm not a delivery," she said simply. Gregory finally met her eyes and frowned. "Then what exactly are you here for?" "I have a reservation." The smile vanished. "Name?" "Aisha Carter." He typed, paused, checked again. His mouth curled. "There's no record under that name." "Oh, there should be," she replied. He straightened, tone shifting from polite to professional disdain. "We don't make exceptions for walk-ins, especially during peak hours." Aisha studied him for a moment. "So you're saying I don't exist in your system?" Gregory shrugged. "Not in mine." The words dropped between them like a dare. Across the lobby, a couple turned to watch. The security guard by the elevator tilted his head. Gregory leaned forward, voice lower now, sharper. "Ma'am, I don't want to cause a scene. Maybe you should try a different property down the street." She didn't move, didn't blink. "I think I'll stay." The silence stretched until Gregory sighed, exasperated. "Fine. ID and payment." She slid her black card across the counter. He picked it up like it was radioactive, squinting. "Black card, huh?" He smirked. "You sure this belongs to you?" A pause, a small, measured smile from her. Positive. Up behind her, the concierge whispered to a coworker. Someone else raised a phone discreetly. Gregory's smirk grew. "Ma'am, if this card doesn't clear, I'll have to ask you to leave." "It will clear," she said, her tone like still water hiding depth. He snorted. "We'll see about that. Before we continue, where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. And if you believe in dignity and justice, hit like and subscribe. These stories spark change. And we're glad you're here." Now back to Aisha. Gregory turned the card over in his hand, almost theatrically. "Let's test your luck, shall we?" And just like that, the game began. The click of keys echoed as Gregory ran the card through the terminal. A long beep followed, then silence. He frowned, tapped again. Declined. "That's not possible," Aisha said. He smiled thinly. "Try another card?" "I only use that one." Gregory crossed his arms. "Then maybe it's time to call your bank." Aisha didn't react. She just looked at him, not pleading, not defensive. That composure annoyed him. "Ma'am, you're holding up my line. There's no one behind me," she said. That answer made him flush. "Listen, I don't know how you got this card, but if you don't leave, I'll call security." Across the room, a young woman at the coffee bar, Sophie, travel vlogger, always filming, started recording quietly. Gregory held up the black card between two fingers like a trophy. "You see, people try this all the time. Fake names, fake cards. But this," he tapped it on the counter, "this is a new level." Aisha's expression stayed unreadable. "Are you accusing me of fraud?" "If the shoe fits." The lobby air changed. A couple of guests looked up. One of the bellmen froze mid-step. Aisha's phone buzzed a notification she ignored. "You're making a mistake." Gregory smirked. "I don't make those." He turned to his colleague, Lauren. "Run this number manually." Lauren hesitated. "Greg, maybe—" "Just do it," she typed. Seconds passed. Then her eyes flicked up nervously. "It's valid." Gregory blinked. "What?" "It's valid," she repeated. "And it matches the reservation database." Gregory forced a laugh. "Then why can't I see it?" Lauren shrugged, scared now. "I don't know. Maybe system sync delay." He leaned closer, lowering his voice. "Or maybe someone's scamming us with stolen credentials." He slid the card into his pocket. "Until we verify, this stays with me." Aisha's voice dropped an octave. "You're holding my property." Gregory smiled. "Correction, I'm holding hotel property." "Oh." That's when the energy in the room shifted. The insult wasn't loud, but it was final. Guests exchanged glances. Sophie zoomed in with her camera. Aisha stood taller. Her silence filled the lobby like thunder waiting for permission to strike. And somewhere between the gold light and marble reflections, the story of the day had begun, the kind that lives on screens and in memory long after the sound fades. Kevin Patel's smirk grew wider as he turned the black card in his fingers like a magician toying with someone else's fate. "You really think this buys you respect?" he said. His voice was low, but the whole lobby heard it. Aisha didn't answer. Silence was her discipline, not her weakness. Around her, the air shifted thick with a kind of heat that comes before a storm. Guests at the espresso bar had stopped pretending not to look. Phones hovered half-raised, uncertain between outrage and curiosity. Gregory leaned closer across the counter, the artificial smile gone. "You people always think showing up confident is enough," he muttered. "Not in my hotel." That phrase, "my hotel," flickered something in her eyes. For a moment, just a breath, she remembered being 23, standing outside another hotel lobby at dawn, told she wasn't on the list. Back then she walked away. This time she didn't. Her voice was calm, precise, almost surgical. "Return my card." Kevin laughed. "You'll get it back when security verifies you're not scamming us." Sophie, the travel blogger, gasped from behind her phone. "You can't just take her card. That's theft." Gregory shot her a glare. "Mind your business." But the crowd was shifting. A young man in a navy suit whispered to his wife, "She's too calm. Something's off." Aisha finally exhaled and looked straight at Gregory. "You're sure you want to finish this sentence?" Gregory blinked. "Excuse me? I'm asking," she said softly, because some mistakes echo louder than apologies. Her tone wasn't angry, it was measured, weighted, and for a second, Gregory hesitated. Then Lauren Hayes, the second clerk, stepped in with that false authority only insecurity breeds. "Ma'am," she said sharply, "we'll need you to leave the lobby immediately. Our real guests are waiting." Real guests?" Aisha repeated, almost whispering the words. Lauren crossed her arms. "You heard me." At the far side of the lobby, Elena Ruiz, the quiet concierge who'd been watching everything stop typing. Her fingers hovered above the keyboard. Something in her expression shifted from obedience to disbelief. Then came the sound that broke the tension wide open, the metallic click of Kevin locking the safe, a single gesture that turned humiliation into proof. Aisha's gaze stayed fixed on Gregory. Her voice dropped, quieter now, but every syllable cut like glass. "You've just turned a customer complaint into a career-ending decision." The marble floor seemed to hum. Gregory forced a laugh, though his throat tightened around it. "You don't scare me." She smiled, not kind, not cruel, just certain. "I don't need to." From the corner, Jacob's live stream picked up her words perfectly. The internet had just found its headline. The lobby had gone quiet in that heavy, unnatural way, the kind that comes right before people realize they've crossed a line. Gregory's hand lingered on the counter, as if still holding authority by touch alone. The reflection in the marble showed what he refused to see. Guests filming, heads turning, eyes watching. Elena Ruiz stood behind the concierge podium, torn between fear and conscience. She'd been trained to smile, to stay neutral, to let the managers handle it. But as she looked at Aisha Carter, steady, silent, not begging, not flinching, something inside her refused to stay small. Lauren leaned in again, her voice sharper now. "If you don't leave, ma'am, we'll have to call security." "Then call," Aisha replied. "Just make sure you spell my name right." Kevin snorted. "Oh, she's got jokes now." A few guests chuckled nervously, not at her words, but at their own discomfort. Sophie's camera caught everything, the smirks, the tension, the tiny tremor in Lauren's hands. From the side, a child whispered to his mother, "Why are they being mean to her?" The mother didn't answer. Elena finally moved. She walked around the podium, straightened her blazer, and said not loud, but firm enough for everyone to hear, "Her name is in the system. A. Carter, penthouse suite, booked and prepaid." Gregory spun toward her, disbelief flashing across his face. "Excuse me? I saw it this morning," Elena continued. "She's a registered guest." The sentence dropped like glass shattering. The crowd stirred, whispers rippled. Lauren hissed, "Elena, back to your desk. Now." "I'm not lying," Elena said. Her voice trembled, but it didn't break. "You told me to check premium reservations before noon." Her name was the first one. Aisha turned, finally meeting Elena's eyes, a silent nod, brief but full of gravity. Gregory's composure cracked. That's impossible. The system would have flagged it. It did, Elena said quietly. You just cleared it. A sharp breath escaped someone near the elevator. Jacob's live stream count jumped by the hundreds. Gregory's tone turned desperate, brittle. You don't understand how these scams work. No, Elena interrupted, her voice rising now. I understand exactly how this works. For the first time, the balance shifted. The guests were no longer passive. Someone near the sofa called out, "She's telling the truth." Sophie panned her phone toward the clerk, her voice shaking. Everyone's watching this, right? This is live. Kevin froze, caught between arrogance and panic. Lauren glanced toward the safe, then at Gregory, silently asking what to do. And Aisha, she just stood there, her hands still, her breathing steady. Then she said, almost gently, "The truth doesn't need a manager. It speaks for itself." For a moment, even Gregory had no words. Outside, the rain began tapping against the glass doors, slow and rhythmic like the countdown to his downfall. Gregory's voice rose like steam from boiling water. "Elena, one more word and you're done here." His shout cracked through the lobby, bouncing off marble and glass. It wasn't just anger, it was fear, leaking out through volume. But fear, once heard, is contagious. It moved through the staff like static. Kevin took a step back, unsure. Lauren kept her eyes on the safe, as if it could protect her from accountability. Guests were no longer pretending to be busy. A few had drifted closer, phones held upright, the quiet lens of truth widening. Aisha didn't move. She stood in the center of it all, her calm spreading like a second kind of gravity. "You raised your voice," she said evenly, "because you've already lost your ground." Gregory laughed, the kind of laugh that comes when someone's ego is cornered. "Lost my ground? You're the one about to be escorted out." He jabbed a finger toward Kevin. "Get security." Kevin hesitated. "Greg, maybe we should just verify." "Now!" Gregory barked. Lauren picked up the desk phone with trembling fingers. "Security to the lobby. Code 12. A hush fell over the room. Code 12. Every hotel employee knew what that meant. Suspected fraud, possible trespasser. Sophie whispered into her camera. He just called security on a guest they know is real. The chat exploded with comments, disbelief pouring in like a digital tide. Aisha turned slightly toward Elena, her voice quiet but clear. "Stay right there. You've done enough by telling the truth." Elena's eyes glistened. "I'm sorry," she murmured. "Don't be," Aisha said. "You reminded this room what integrity looks like." Then the elevator chimed. Two security guards stepped out tall, uniformed, wary. The taller one, badge reading T. Jones, scanned the scene. "What's the issue?" Gregory jumped in before anyone else could speak. "This woman attempted to check into a premium suite using a stolen card. We've secured the evidence." Aisha didn't flinch. She simply said, "My name is Aisha Carter. Check your internal system. Penthouse suite." Jones paused, tapped his tablet. The seconds stretched. Kevin swallowed hard. "Ma'am," Jones said slowly, eyes narrowing. "Your name's right here. Status, verified." The silence that followed wasn't relief. It was judgment turning outward now, toward Gregory. Lauren's face drained of color. Kevin whispered, "She's real." Sophie's phone caught the moment perfectly. The exact second arrogance turned to ash. Gregory tried to recover, voice brittle. "Then why didn't the system—" Aisha interrupted softly. "Because you erased me." He stared at her, speechless. She stepped closer, not threatening, but unstoppable. "You didn't see a fraud. You saw someone who didn't fit your idea of ownership. That's your real problem." No one spoke. The air had changed temperature. Jones closed his tablet and said to Gregory, "You might want to step back, sir." And for the first time since she walked through those doors, Aisha smiled. It wasn't triumph, it was inevitability. Gregory's cheeks flushed the color of panic. "This is absurd!" he shouted, stepping around the counter. "You think a system glitch makes you innocent? She could have hacked it." The crowd murmured. The word hacked hung in the air like a weak shield against truth. Even Kevin looked away. Lauren fidgeted with her blazer, suddenly fascinated by the floor. Aisha didn't raise her voice. She didn't have to. "You keep saying she said quietly. "Like I'm a problem, not a person." "Oh," Gregory pointed straight at her. "You are a problem standing in my lobby, wasting my time, confusing my staff." Elena's voice cut through him like a blade of light. "Your staff is confused because you told them to be." The room gasped. Gregory turned on her, his control crumbling. "You're fired." "No," Aisha said, stepping forward, her tone sharp but calm. "She's not." Gregory blinked. "Excuse me? You don't have the authority to fire anyone anymore," Aisha replied. "But you'll understand that in a moment." Phones were out again, dozens of them, every angle catching the unraveling of a man who thought his tone was law. Gregory jabbed a finger toward Aisha. "You think this little performance scares me? You're nothing but a—" "Careful," she interrupted, voice low, dangerous in its stillness. "The next word you choose will define you in front of the world." His mouth opened, then closed. Jones, the head of security, looked from one to the other. "Sir, maybe we should cool it down. Cameras are everywhere." "Let them film," Gregory barked. "She's trespassing." "Verified guest," Jones corrected, monotone but unyielding. Sophie whispered to her live stream. "He's melting down. Everyone's watching this live." Comments flooded in thousands of hearts, angry emojis, words like karma and justice. Gregory's voice cracked. "You think the internet scares me? You think—" "Not the internet," Aisha said softly. "The evidence." "Oh." She reached into her pocket and tapped her phone once. A faint chime echoed a sync tone only corporate networks used. Somewhere, a system came alive. On the other end of that tone, miles away, her assistant's voice chimed through. "Nia here. Confirm initiation?" Aisha kept her gaze on Gregory. "Begin internal audit. Record everything from 10-3 onward." Gregory laughed, brittle and manic. "You can't just—" "Done," Nia said through the phone speaker. "Audit live." All staff terminals linked. Kevin's monitor blinked. Lauren's login screen froze. A red warning bar pulsed. Corporate ethics protocol initiated. The lobby's murmurs turned into open gasps. Guests weren't just witnesses anymore, they were audience to a system correcting itself in real time. Gregory looked around, realizing too late that every display, every device, every whisper of authority he once had now belonged to someone else. Aisha met his stare and said barely above a whisper, "You should have verified more than my card." For a long moment, no one moved. Then the sound of the rain outside swelled patient, relentless, and perfectly timed. Gregory's composure snapped like glass underfoot. "Turn that damn system off!" he barked, spinning toward Kevin. But Kevin just stood there, frozen, eyes on his locked screen flashing red. Access denied. "Lauren!" he shouted. "Do something!" Lauren didn't move. Her phone buzzed with notifications. The live stream was everywhere now. She could see her own face reflected in a dozen screens, trapped in an unfolding scandal. Gregory slammed his palm on the counter. "This isn't real authority. You can't walk in here and hijack my hotel." Aisha's reply came quiet and deliberate. "Your hotel?" She took a step closer, her sneakers whispering across marble. "Tell me, Gregory, when was the last time you read the name on the ownership documents you process every morning?" He scoffed. "You're bluffing." The elevator chimed again. 2 police officers stepped out, summoned by Lauren's earlier call. They paused, taking in the tension, the cluster of guests with phones raised. "Who placed the call?" one asked. Gregory shot his hand up. "I did. This woman's attempting fraud. I'm detaining her until we confirm identity." Aisha didn't move. Her calm felt heavier than steel. "Officers," she said, "you can verify me through your dispatch link, corporate ID 0472A. One of the officers glanced at the other, uncertain. They tapped into their device. Seconds later, the screen lit up. Aisha Carter, registered owner, Horizon Grand Hotel Group. The taller officer looked up slowly. "Sir," he said to Gregory, "she owns the hotel." The words detonated. Guests gasped. Phones caught the exact instant Gregory's confidence drained out of him. "That's impossible," he stammered. She walked in here like what?" Aisha's voice cut in, calm, sharp, surgical. "Like someone who didn't fit your picture of power." He took a step back, tripping slightly over the rug. "You don't understand. I was just following protocol." Protocol doesn't include theft," she said, "or public humiliation." Gregory's voice faltered. "You can't prove any of this." Nia's voice came through Aisha's phone, crisp as thunder. "Everything recorded, ma'am. Audio, video, employee logs. Confirmed timestamp 10-3. Gregory Vance initiated false report and racialized language. The crowd erupted in murmurs. Sophie turned her camera to him. "You just ended your own career live," she whispered. Gregory lunged, snatching at Aisha's phone. "You can't record me." Jones, the head of security, stepped between them instantly. "Back off, Greg." Gregory's hand trembled mid-air. He looked around the lobby, every face, every camera, every silent witness staring back. His voice cracked, almost pleading. "You set me up." Aisha tilted her head slightly. "No, Gregory, you exposed yourself." The officers exchanged glances. "Ma'am," one said respectfully, "would you like us to escort him out?" Aisha paused, considering. "Not yet," she said softly. "Let him watch what accountability looks like." And for a moment no one breathed. Rain streaked the glass like camera flashes from the outside world, and inside, the empire she built stood in perfect silence waiting for justice to arrive, one heartbeat at a time. For a heartbeat, the lobby was still, every sound suspended in the glass and marble silence. Even the rain outside seemed to pause. Aisha stood in the center, phone in hand, the blue glow of its screen washing her face in light. Gregory's breathing was loud, uneven. The two police officers watched, unsure if they were witnessing a crime or a reckoning. Then Aisha spoke. Her voice wasn't loud, but it filled every inch of space. "You called security on a woman checking into her own hotel." Gregory swallowed hard. "That's not—" She raised a hand, stopping him. "You called the police. You accused me of fraud. You took my property, on camera, in front of witnesses." Her eyes swept across the lobby, the staff, the guests, the officers, the endless line of phones capturing every second. "And you did it because you decided who belongs here." No one answered. The only sound was the low hum of air conditioning and the faint buzz of Kevin's frozen monitor still flashing access denied. Aisha turned her phone toward the officers. "Run the corporate listing for Horizon Grand Hotel Group." One officer nodded, fingers moving over the tablet. It took seconds that stretched like a lifetime for Gregory. Then the officer said quietly, "Ownership confirmed. CEO and majority shareholder Aisha Monroe Carter." The room gasped in unison. It was like a collective exhale no one realized they'd been holding. Gregory's face drained of color. You're lying." Nia's voice came through the phone again, cool and professional. "For verification, Miss Carter, your ownership certificate has been sent to the internal board. Audit sequence confirmed." The projector behind the reception desk, the one usually looping hotel promotions, flickered. The screen filled with the Horizon Grand corporate dashboard. At the top, in bold silver letters, CEO Aisha M. Carter. Lauren's knees buckled slightly. Kevin's lips parted, but no words came out. Sophie's live stream exploded with hearts and shock emojis. "She's the CEO. Oh my God, she owns the place," she whispered to her audience. Gregory stumbled backward until he hit the counter. "You set me up," he said again, weaker this time, like a man realizing gravity was no longer on his side. Aisha looked at him, not angry, not gloating, just measured. "I gave you 9 minutes to see me as a person. You chose not to. That's not a setup, Gregory. That's a reflection." Elena stood taller now, pride straightening her spine. The younger concierge who'd spoken truth first was trembling, but smiling through it. One of the officers holstered his device. "Ma'am, do you want to press charges?" Aisha shook her head. "Not yet. I prefer internal correction first." "Oh," Gregory stammered. "You can't." She turned her wrist slightly, voice steady as a verdict. "Nia, proceed to phase 2. Freeze all managerial accounts under Gregory Vance, Lauren Hayes, and Kevin Patel." Nia replied, "Confirmed. Access suspended. Legal notified." The monitors blinked again, red, then black. The staff's credentials were gone. And in that frozen moment, Aisha Carter, once dismissed, doubted, erased, stood under the lobby lights, calm as justice itself. The silence that followed her reveal was the kind that rearranges a room. Every second stretched long and merciless, filled only by the soft hum of the hotel's air system and the faint clicks of recording phones. Gregory stood motionless, his reflection trembling in the polished marble beneath his feet. The weight of every word he'd said now hung around his neck like a chain. Lauren's mouth opened as if to speak, but no sound came out. Kevin's hand hovered near the safe key he'd once brandished like proof of power. Now it looked like evidence. From the far corner, Elena took a small breath, the kind that breaks a spell. She glanced at Aisha and whispered, "They know now." Aisha nodded once. They do. Then came the first clap. Slow, hesitant. It came from an older woman in a floral scarf near the lounge chairs. She stood, her palms striking again, and again. The sound spread. Within seconds, the entire lobby joined applause, building like a wave, crashing against the marble and glass. Gregory flinched as if each clap was a gavel. Sophie's live stream caught it all. "They're applauding her," she narrated softly. "They're applauding justice." The live comments poured in. "She handled that like a queen. Power moves only. 9 minutes for redemption." Aisha didn't smile. Her expression was calm, deliberate. She let the moment breathe before raising her hand. The clapping slowed, then faded into reverent silence. She looked at the staff lined behind the counter. "Do you know what I built this brand for?" she asked quietly. No one answered. "It wasn't for marble floors or 5-star ratings. It was for dignity, something this place just forgot." Gregory tried to regain footing. "Miss Carter, She cut him off gently. "No, Gregory. Don't use my name to clean your conscience." The officer nearest to him shifted uneasily. "Ma'am, we can remove him if you'd like." Aisha shook her head. "Not yet. He needs to see this." Then into her phone. "Nia, activate internal playback on lobby monitors. 10:03 to 10:12. "Yes, ma'am," came the reply. Screens flickered to life security footage from 10 minutes earlier. Gregory, red-faced, shouting, "Get out of my lobby! This place isn't for your kind." The audio echoed through the space like a ghost of arrogance. Guests turned. A hush fell again, deeper this time, heavier with recognition. Gregory stared at the screen, pale and hollow. "That was taken out of context," he muttered. Aisha's gaze didn't waver. "There's no context for contempt." Kevin looked down, whispering, "We didn't mean harm." "You meant hierarchy," Aisha replied. "That's worse." Elena's eyes welled. "Miss Carter," Aisha lifted a hand gently. "You did the right thing, Elena. Integrity doesn't need permission." The older woman in the scarf stepped forward, speaking for everyone. "You gave them a chance to do right. They refused." Aisha nodded once. "Then they'll learn from consequence." The hotel's logo pulsed on the central screen, the Horizon Grand emblem, once a symbol of luxury, now glowing beneath the name Aisha M. Carter. Gregory finally looked up. "What happens now?" Aisha's answer was simple, final. Now, accountability. And with one tap on her phone, she began it. The applause had faded, but the weight of it lingered, a residue of judgment hanging over every corner of the Horizon Grand lobby. Gregory stood behind the counter like a man trapped in his own crime scene. His badge blinked red again, a silent pulse marking the end of his authority. Lauren stepped back, clutching her phone. It vibrated in her palm, a corporate email notification. "Employment access suspended. HR will contact you within 24 hours. Her breath caught. "Oh my God," she whispered. "It's real." Kevin's monitor went dark, then his phone, then his smartwatch. The Horizon system had erased them completely, as if they'd never existed within its walls. Across the room, guests murmured, filming every second. The once sterile luxury of the lobby now felt electric, alive with the unmistakable scent of consequence. Aisha stood near the center, unshaken. "Nia," she said into her phone, "confirm terminations and initiate reallocation." "Confirmed," Nia's voice replied. "Security credentials revoked. Payroll access frozen. HR notices sent." Gregory lunged forward, desperation cracking through him. "You can't do this here, not in front of them." Aisha's tone cut him clean. "I can, because this is where you did it to me." He froze. The echo of her words landed with surgical precision. Jones, the head of security, received a quiet alert on his tablet. He looked at Aisha. "Ma'am, we've received the termination log. Their access badges are invalid." "Oh." "Escort them out," Aisha said softly. "But do it with the respect they couldn't show." Gregory's defiance collapsed into panic. "You're ruining me," he spat. Aisha's gaze didn't waver. "No, Gregory. You did that when you mistook silence for submission." The guard stepped forward. Lauren started to cry, not loudly, but in short, broken breaths. Kevin just stared at the floor, his confidence drained to nothing. As they were guided toward the exit, a murmur spread through the crowd, not cruel, but resolute. Justice didn't need to gloat. It only needed to be seen. Sophie whispered into her camera, "They're being escorted out, the same way they tried to do to her." Thousands of viewers watched live, the comments rolling faster than her voice could keep up. Gregory turned back one last time, pleading, "Aisha, please. I've got a family." Her expression softened, but only slightly. "Then I hope you teach them never to treat someone like this again." The doors opened. Rain poured outside, silver streaks against the glass. Gregory stepped into it without an umbrella. Lauren followed, head down. Kevin lingered for a second, then left too. Elena exhaled shakily. "It's over," she whispered. Aisha looked around the lobby, her lobby now filled with people who had witnessed both arrogance and grace in the same 10 minutes. "No," she said quietly. "It's just beginning." Outside, cameras flashed from the street, local reporters had already arrived. The world had seen, the truth had gone viral. And inside, the Horizon Grand stood taller than before, not because of marble or gold, but because dignity had just reclaimed its ground. The rain outside turned steady, rhythmic like a metronome, marking the end of something rotten. Reporters gathered by the glass doors, their cameras catching reflections of a lobby reborn. The crowd inside had thinned. Guests whispered. Employees stood still, the scent of tension giving way to quiet awe. Aisha Carter walked toward the front desk, her heels soft against the marble. Behind her, Gregory, Lauren, and Kevin were gone, their absence like a void that finally allowed the air to breathe. Elena followed at a respectful distance, clutching a clipboard she no longer needed. "Ma'am," she said gently, "what happens now?" Aisha stopped, looking around the lobby as though seeing it for the first time. "Now," she said, "we rebuild properly." She turned to Jones, the head of security. "Call in the department heads. I want an emergency staff meeting in 30 minutes. Jones nodded. "Yes, ma'am." There was a new tone in his voice, not fear, but respect. Aisha placed both hands on the counter where Gregory once stood, shouting. The surface still gleamed, but faint smudges from his palms lingered. She didn't wipe them away. "Leave those," she said quietly to Elena. "People need to remember what arrogance looks like." Elena smiled faintly, understanding. Across the lobby, Sophie lowered her camera. "Miss Carter," she called softly, "the world's watching this live. Do you want to say something?" Aisha turned, her gaze steady, posture composed. "They've seen enough shouting," she said. "Maybe it's time they see restraint." Sophie lowered her head, moved. "People are calling you the most composed woman on the internet right now." Aisha's expression didn't change. Composure isn't silence, it's control. Her phone buzzed a message from Nia. Press requests flooding in. CNN, BBC, local outlets. "Do we respond?" Aisha typed back a single line. "Let the story speak for itself." Then she addressed the few employees still lingering. "To those who stayed quiet because you were scared, I understand. But from this day forward, Horizon will not reward silence over integrity." Elena's eyes filled. "Thank you, Miss Carter." Aisha met her gaze. "You don't have to thank me. You held the line when others looked away. That's leadership." Jones stepped closer, his tone low. "Ma'am, do you want me to clear the lobby?" "No," she said. "Let them see what accountability looks like. Calm, public, and final." She turned toward the grand glass entrance, where flashes from outside painted her in brief bursts of light. "I built this company so no one would ever feel smaller than the room they walk into. Today proved we still have work to do." Her voice softened, but the edge remained. "And we'll start right here." "Oh," Elena whispered. "You're not just fixing a hotel, are you?" Aisha smiled, the first real smile all day. "No, Elena, we're fixing a culture." The cameras caught that line calm, clear, immortal. Within an hour, it would circle the internet, captioned simply, "She didn't raise her voice, she raised the standard." By evening, the rain had slowed to a drizzle. The Horizon Grand's lobby glowed in the soft amber of dusk filtering through its high glass walls. Guests moved quietly now, almost reverently, as if aware they had witnessed a turning point. The marble floor, once a stage for humiliation, had become an altar of accountability. Aisha Carter stood near the same counter where it all began. Outside, reporters still lingered, their cameras trained on the doors, waiting for her to emerge. But she didn't rush. Power didn't need an audience, not anymore. Elena approached with a nervous half-smile. "They're asking if you'll make a public statement, ma'am." Aisha's eyes lifted toward the rain-slick city beyond the glass. "I already did," she said softly. "Every choice I made today was one." Jones stepped closer. "If you want, We can close the lobby. Give you space. No, she replied. Keep it open. Let people see this place for what it is again. Across the room, the hotel staff who had stayed housekeepers, bellmen, concierges gathered in a small semicircle. They looked at her the way a team looks at someone who has just redrawn the map. Aisha turned to face them. I don't lead with fear, she said. I lead with proof. Today, proof walked into this lobby and didn't need to shout to be heard. Elena exhaled, her voice barely above a whisper. You could have humiliated them back. Aisha shook her head. Humiliation doesn't build anything. Correction does. She rested a hand on the counter. And if we build this place again, we build it on respect, not appearance, not assumption, not hierarchy. Her phone buzzed once more. Nia again. Trending worldwide. Number the CEO stayed calm. Aisha allowed herself a quiet laugh. That's fine, she murmured. Let calm trend for once. Then she turned toward Sophie, who still held her camera low, waiting. Before you post anything else, Aisha said gently, show the ending too, not the outrage, the order. Sophie nodded. People need to see both. Aisha looked up toward the ornate chandelier above them, the same one that had reflected Gregory's arrogance hours earlier. Now its light seemed warmer, steadier. That's how change works, she said. It begins ugly, but it ends honest. She straightened her blazer, took a final look around the lobby, and walked toward the exit. The doors parted automatically, the hotel recognizing the access badge she no longer needed to prove. Flashes erupted from outside, but she didn't stop for interviews. She simply raised her head against the drizzle and kept walking, her silhouette framed by the city lights. Behind her, Elena's voice carried softly through the open doors. Miss Carter, what should we tell the guests? Aisha paused just long enough to answer. Tell them the truth always checks in here. And then she stepped into the night. The rain, like applause, followed her all the way down the steps.